Hello, friends. How are you today? Well, it's late at night my time, and I thought that it would be great to talk about the recent data stop in the Schumann resonance. I woke up right when the data restarted. I'd been sleeping, and I woke up, and the data had been on for about 2 hours. And what I experienced in that transition from when the data was hidden to it was on, something happened during those 4 hours that the data was off. It was intense. And I've talked to other friends of mine who are very energy sensitive. I'll tell you how I've experienced, because we've all seemed to feel something. I feel like something happened. It was big, whatever it was. And it's almost like it put me in a different reality. Like, I feel very connected from a soul standpoint, but my physical reality seems different. My experience of it. So what I thought I would do is look at the astrology chart and share that with you. So what I'm going to do is I did the astrology chart for the time that the data stopped. And the reason that I do that is to see, since we can't see the energies on the chart, what we can look at is what is going on in the energies, and especially the near planets, like the moon, the sun, and we can see what's happening with them. Because over a period of hours, that's where you're going to get an energy shift. You're going to get it in the moon, you're going to get it in the sun, maybe Mercury. And so I think it's instructive. The last time that we had, the last time I looked at a data chart relative to the Schumann, at the time of the effect, it was that sort of really unusual wave that came in after Pluto went into Aquarius. The moon was triggering a major triangle of energy in the current chart for lunar month. So I thought that was really interesting, that coincided with that dramatic image on the chart. I thought it was interesting that myself and other intuitives perceived some kind of energy shift around the time that the data doesn't show on the Schumann chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the astrology charts on my Substack, and I'll put a link below. So come to my Substack and check it out. I have articles on the Schumann energy, but I also have articles on human energy. I did a recent one that is really cool. And if you want to gain a better handle and learn about energy, this is a really good one. It's called Unconscious Permissions. And it's a really good way to sort of take greater control over your life in terms of, and what I do is I explain how the energy works in those situations. I may do another video going deeper into it, so look for that. For example, I explain how in a relationship with a narcissist and an empath, how there are unconscious permissions, or how media can affect us and create unconscious permissions that we're not aware of. It's really cool. Okay, so now back to the Schumann energy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the chart while I'm talking to you, and then I'll put images into my Substack. So after the data stop, there was this cool, really neat expression of energy on the Schumann. It was the white resonance, and it had these almost rods of energy, but you know what they looked like to me? They looked like really super tall people. And it was just like person after person after person after person. And the whole thing together was like a wave of white energy. And let me see here if I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's at least 11 of them here in a row. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they go from 0 to 15 hertz. And in my recent article that's on Substack, I explained about the brain waves that are active in this layer of energy. So I'm going to link that below too, because this layer of energy between 0 and 15 hertz has really been really been affected by the current Schumann energies. And in fact, there's been this strobing effect that I mentioned on my other Schumann article. I'm going to list all this below or above, wherever it is relative to the video in the video detail. So the strobing effect, I finally figured it out relative to the astrology chart. And I did it when I was talking with my friend who's taught me about astrology, Andrea. And she was telling me how she's perceived the current geometry in chart as looking like a fan. And I was like, oh my goodness, I get it. And she was talking about how you use a fan and you know, how it was very much a feminine tool, a prop that women used. And you would wave it in front of you like this, and you could use it for flirting, or you could use it to cool yourself down, or you could use it to whack someone. So I thank her. Thank you, Andrea, for sharing all that with me. As soon as she talked about the fan moving back and forth, I got it, right? Because when the fan moves back and forth, you see one side, then another, one side, then another. Now, I had a fan when I was a child because it was still a thing to get fans back then for little kids. And so, you know, both the two sides of the fan had different imagery on them, right? They were decorated differently. And that's when I got it, right? That the strobing and the Schumann, it's like it was lighting up from 0 to 15 hertz and then turning off, lighting up, turning off. And my clear feeling, and I said this in my media, like, it's our choice how to use these energies. And then I finally saw the detail of that with looking at the astrology chart. What side are we going to present? What side of the fan are we going to choose, right? In terms of what's going on in our life, how are we going to present ourselves? And one of the biggest choices that's up right now is whether we're going to be in victimhood or not. But with the current chart, since the full moon, and this is activated at the time the data stopped, this exact dynamic I'm going to tell you right now. It's the dynamic for insanity, okay? It's off the hook. Right now, Ceres is opposing Neptune. Ceres is the Earth Mother, but she is in relationship with Dionysus. Dionysus is right there with Ceres, right there, conjunct. That means they're right next to each other. And when that happens, the energy of one flavors the other. And Dionysus is the energy of wildness, but especially for women, but a wildness that flips into insanity, that flips into extreme expressions. And so this has got a hold of women right now. And it's an enduring effect because it was at the new moon, it was at the Pluto going into Aquarius, and it was at the full moon, and it's in the data stop chart. Okay. So this is not going away. This is for the next 6 months, right? Because the new moon was right after the solstice. So the new moon, the solstice lasts for 6 months. The new moon lasts for a month. Pluto in Aquarius is 20 years. So, and the full moon is for the rest of the month. So this dynamic of insanity is going to be with us and something that we have to face. And it's about the extremes that victimhood can push us to. When we make the choice to stay in victimhood, then we make the choice from victimhood of where we're going to go. We can reconnect with the truth of who we are and get stronger and recover, or we can keep going and stretch the boundaries to the very, very farthest aspects of the truth of who we are, right? We can get into distortions away from the living soul that we are. And that's where insanity happens. And when it opposes Neptune, okay, and Dionysus and Ceres are in Virgo. So what that means is that this Virgo is very detailed. So this covers a significant amount of aspects of life. Virgo is about our work life. Virgo is about our health. So it's about mental health. It's about acting right at work or not, or people being just crazy in the way they work, how they express themselves at work, how companies express themselves, what companies are choosing to allow, to get engaged with, or what represents them. And then you have the ability to perceive that, and then we're going to have emotions over that, and that's where the moon is right now. The moon at the data stop was exact in semi-sextile to Ceres and Dionysus. Jupiter is in a quincunx. It's wide, but it's in the background. In the background, it's big. It's kind of really blowing up this energy. It's really expanding this energy. And as Jupiter moves closer, it's going to come into a relationship with Ceres and Dionysus. And that will probably increase displays of insanity. So I'm not sure, that'll be in a few days or weeks. And the moon was quincunx Neptune and in the shadow of this insanity. So I think that was the trigger. And the moon is at the handle of the fan. And that's our choice, right? Which one are we going to choose? So here's the trick. We can let our pain take us down a river that's full of rapids, right? And the boat and we get tossed over, and you can get knocked against the rocks and a person can drown, like Sedna, okay, dropping to the bottom of the ocean. See, this is our traumas are being triggered. Our childhood traumas are being triggered in this energy. But the choice over how we address that is very deeply personal. And so the alternative is that we let it take us closer to God, that we find our way back home, the home being that we come back into the body and we claim our humanity back that was taken from us in the trauma, that we distance ourselves from in the pain. We own it and we live it. And it's a stark choice. And it's very emotional because the moon is at the handle of this entire fan of energy that's flipping back and forth. And I feel that the strobing and the Schumann the last few weeks has represented. Isn't that wild? That we see an energy in the Schumann, and then we see it reflected, that type of energy reflected in the astrology chart for the month, for the natural new year, for Pluto into Aquarius. It's amazing. And we're very emotional over it. And so something happened related to our emotions about our victimization, about the craziness that it's created in us, about the levels of insanity that it's created. And then there's been a reaction. And that reaction, that the good thing about the emotions and the triggering of the emotions is it raises up the choice for us. What am I going to choose here? Am I going to keep going with the insanity? Or am I going to fix this somehow? And if I fix it, do I fix it from that insane place? Because that results in dramatic consequences that are usually not in alignment with one's highest good, because one achieves the highest good when we're in relationship with the divine, right? Now, if we make those choices outside of that closeness, right, from a place of insanity, can it be turned to our highest good? Always. Always. At 111, it's one in the morning. It's 1:11 in the morning here right now. Wow. But when we return to being centered within, with our own soul, with the divinity that we are, and we make the choice from there, our path to a better outcome is in the moment, right? It's in the moment. We don't suffer as much and then go through the need to turn that suffering into blessings. Now, being connected and making a decision doesn't mean that everything's going to be hunky-dory, as my mom would say, that things are going to be easy. It could very well be that things are still challenging. But what's different is we feel more centered. We feel better. We feel more capable from this state of being. And, but it's a personal choice. And there's a lot of people going through now pain that's led them into insanity. With Dionysus, his followers could get violent. So be careful when you're out there and you're dealing with people who are wounded in ways that, they don't know how to handle. So, and let's just bless the situation. I was reading someone's post in a little group that I'm in, and they were saying how they were tempted by another person, right? Another person knew what their goals were and then did something and offered them something that was hard to resist, that was totally opposite of their personal goals. And this friend, knew that. But, have compassion for these people who do that to you, is my thought. And the reason why is you don't know what hardships those people are going through. For them to bring something to you that, knowing that it could cause you pain, knowing that it's not on the path you said you wanted for yourself. Why would someone do that? Because they're at a level of insanity almost. They're at a level of ill health in themselves. And they want you to stay there with them. They want you to stay in ill health with you. So we can bless the situation. We can bless. And when I say that, I mean, essentially pray for them. We can pray for those around us who are going through pain and pray for ourselves. This is a challenging time. But at the same time, something good happened during that shift that just occurred. And I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what that was. I don't know. The moon did move into quincunx with Venus, which is very beautiful. And Venus is near Uranus. She passed over Uranus, but what this means is sudden shifts can happen. Sudden shifts into that uplevel us. When we think about the energies that are in the astrology chart, a lot of times people will come with the negatives. And there are a lot of challenges in life at this time. But the fact is that these challenges can bring us blessings. They can actually uplevel us. Some of us have been having challenges this whole time, right? A lot of us have been going through something. And if you've been doing the work, if you've been addressing it, this is a time where you can get the rewards. I know that sounds strange, but where you can be suddenly up leveled, suddenly shifted into a place where from there the rewards are coming. Just keep going, keep at it, keep your own attitude up the best that you can in these energies, because the light comes after the moment of greatest darkness. And the up leveling that people are being moved into from that place, when the energy does shift, I think you're going to be in a great place. These are the rewards of recovering, of healing the trauma, and of allowing the pain to move through us, and to choose to turn it to a blessing for our own lives, and to intend that that be the case for others on their path and on their journey.